Hello and welcome to Brave Newbies. I am Professor Push, and today I will be teaching you how to make a lot of ISK in Brave's routing systems. Chances are you'll be in I1Y. While you are allowed to route in I1Y, probably not the best place. What I suggest doing is purchasing a mobile tractor unit as soon as you're able to. Of course, you don't need one immediately, but having one does help. And let's drop that in an interceptor. Now, as you can see, you may not be able to fit such an item. So what I do in this case is I will take, let's say, one of these off, throw on an expanded cargo hold, and try again. Ah, it fits. A quick check of local ensures everyone in local is friendly. Now, also make sure you're on our mumble comms so you can hear when alerts go out. You want some windows open here, such as 7.0 Intel and of course local. It's not necessary to see what's being typed in local necessarily. However, I like to keep it open. You just need to have this list here, and that will become important to you much later. Let's go ahead and join Brave Standing Fleet, or whatever fleet may be applicable. As you can tell, this is our fleet here, 27. This setup is also not necessary as well. There's many different ways to move this around. Primarily, I like to switch between these two with the primary window. Here, 7.0 Intel, so I can see what's going on in the system. These two windows here, especially local, will save your life. Let's go ahead and undock. Undocking, we see our overview. Make sure you're running Sarah Shower's overview here with these columns, especially this one here. Now, what I'm going to do is flag myself exempt from fleet warp. This will prevent me from being warped out of a site or a POS or wherever I may be by accident, a friendly, or a spy who's infiltrated fleet.
Warp drive active.
What I'm going to do is travel to the UH system. This is my preferred routing system in Brave space. One quick look over local shows me that I have nothing to worry about, then I can jump right in. Landing in UH and holding my cloak, I see here, look at that, all friendlies. Now what I'm going to do here is something I suggest always doing. Click into here, select one name, Control A. This will highlight everyone in here. I see 15, and also anyone new that jumps in will come in unhighlighted. This is a handy way for spotting enemies jumping into the system. Let's go ahead and dock.
Warp drive active.
Hello, Standing Fleet.
And as you can see, that is the Standing Fleet comms that you should be in. So anything that happens will be listening there, and they can tell me anything going wrong.
Well, that was a fun roam.
Docking.
We went all the way to head GP.
Docking request accepted.
We caught a Dami. We got him almost into We got him into structure.
Here we are, arrived in UTAC-H, my preferred routing system, although yours may differ. Now, the first thing we'll do is go to our new bro routing VNI. Perhaps you have a different ship.
How much do you reckon a shell blueprint original costs?
This name on a ship like this is the first thing that will get you killed. It's imperative you change the name. Something
$100 billion.
that will let them know
I see.
you don't want to get hot dropped. EVE players
Wait, is it the Elite
pretty
shuttle,
friendly
the
to new
Victoria?
players
Just a regular
and generally
shuttle.
will respect your requests
Doesn't
and
matter.
wishes.
I don't know, maybe a couple million is. It's a research
Hence,
BPO,
my
right?
name is please
Yep.
don't
Maybe
hot
like a
drop
couple
me.
million. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not
I'm
too
thinking,
much.
Think about bringing a BP for it down here.
Now let's
start
open our
selling
cargo
them for,
handler.
like, dirt.
Yeah. I don't really use them.
And drop this into here.
The shuttle is the poor
This
man's
is pretty much
interceptor.
all you should have in here.
Yep.
And our drone bay
And interceptors are pretty
primarily
fucking cheap, to be
will
honest.
be
Well-
Imperial Navy Paraders. These are kind of expensive, and I hold a few, and you'll see why, as well as acolytes. I've abandoned any type of ECM warfare. Hopefully, if you're paying attention enough, you really won't need it, and you will never die. And as you can see, it's still highlighted here, and 2 new people have come in. All right. Let's go ahead and undock. Now these triangles here mean that we cannot be fleet warped. Very important. We also want to make sure we're in the correct squad just in case something does go down and they need to form a PvP wing. We would be in, let's say, PvE ratting. We'll just drop ourselves down to here. This is our drone layout, and these again are our columns for the Sarashara overview. As you can see here, I still can save some screen real estate, so I will make some adjustments. The first thing we want to do is make sure we have a good warp into the POS. Under corporate bookmarks, you'll see you can warp to the POS relatively easy. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is a good practice for if somebody did come into the system, usually a neutral. A lot of people will just warp to the POS and think they're safe. This is not the case. There's evidence of spies or other tricksters and ne'er-do-wells that may want to get you out of this system. It's very easy to get a VNI or any larger ship out of a POS by 2 ways. A friendly can come in while I'm away and bump me right out and keep bumping me until I'm out of sight of POS shields, effectively making me vulnerable for a kill. How to prevent this is I like to orbit, and this will keep us orbited around the POS stick. So if we are bumped, we'll reapproach and keep orbiting. And the second way, of course, is to warp us, is to put himself in a command position and to warp us out of the POS. Flagging yourself exempt from fleet warp will prevent this as well. The most important column we want to have here is transversal. This is imperative that we show this column for ratting. So once we have everything set up the way you like and we have selected local, we take another look. Everything looks okay. We can bounce between fleet and see that they're just talking. And we see Turs Meza is in BX2. That's another ratting stage. And sometimes they'll hit BX2 and come this way. So what we do now is we open up our browser. This is highly recommended, although not necessarily. Make sure it goes to zkillboard.com. I have mine linked to my character. The reason for this is, let's say, while I'm safe in the POS, I want to look up Turs Meza. And find out if they're a good PvP pilot and what they fly. I can see they have some losses here. I also can see if they come to UTAC-H or any other Brave systems. Doing this will give you a better idea of your opponent. Although not completely necessary, it's always good to do it. So let's open up our probe scanner and let's find a Forsaken Rally Point, let's say. There's many ways in EVE to accomplish something. Some are more optimal than others, although it comes down to what your preference and learning ability is. This is merely one way to ensure you don't die from ratting and make a lot of ISK. Other people have other ways. Here we see the rats pop up. Here we see their transversal. Now make sure we have show all brackets on. And there's a very important reason for this. So what we're going to do is hit Control B. And let's call this our loot point. And we'll give it a number. I think I already have a loot point 3. So I will definitely make sure to erase the old one. Second thing we do is launch for ourselves our mobile tractor unit. Now here's where a lot of people get a little flustered, is when they start taking damage from these rats. What I do is I'll pick an object out here. So I zoom all the way out and an up top view. I then click Tactical Overlay, and it will give me a very good picture of the battlefield. It will also let me see someone coming in from a distance and landing on grid. If that happens, I'll be sure to get out, even if it's a friendly, but we'll get to that later. What I do is I launch for myself my mobile tractor unit. I can close this window now. I make sure
420.
I'm listening.
420.
By the way, gonna miss y'all.
I don't know who you are, but
I make sure I'm listening to Fleet. It sounds like they're having a fun time. Double check things here. Everything is okay. These are still too far away to do any damage to me, which is perfectly fine. Everything seems to be going well, and they're transversal. I could read it right here. When they do start getting closer to me, I'll be taking some damage. However, I want to speak quickly of this right here. If you pay attention to this, you are 99% guaranteed not to die. However, that's not saying someone can have a spy in Brave and simply warp to you and warp his fleet to you, or AWOX you himself. This person's been in Brave for 2 days. I have no idea who he is. If he landed on grid with me, I'd always make sure to err on the side of caution, and I would pull my drones and warp off, or simply just warp off. Never warp to station. Always warp to the POS. The station, a quick ship can get there and bubble you before you even enter warp, and you'll be caught in a bubble. Alright, let's get to routing now. It appears that they're within reach of me, so I'm going to launch my drones, and I have 7, and the reason why is these 2 are backups in case one of these takes damage and I have to pull it. We'll lock up something and engage it. Sometimes we have to wait for them to engage us and aggress us. Often the case will be where they engage you and start red boxing you, only to find them break target and go after one of your drones like they've done here. And as you can see, nobody's aggressing me, and we're getting some more people in system. Alright. They're getting close enough where I can activate this. This is my afterburner. With the afterburner on, what I will do is make sure this gets up high, and when they do get in damage range of me, as long as I'm heading up into the 800s plus to 1000s, they will not be able to do much, if any, damage to me at all. And we can zoom in, and I'll show you what that looks like. What we're going to do here is, again, lock up a target. Let's look at our drones. See how this one is damaged? I may not want to use that, so hence the backups. And there's my 5 drones. I push F to engage, and I begin earning my ISK. Careful not to double click like I just did. And sometimes it may be necessary to adjust your orbits or turn this off so you don't get too far away from them and your drones. Another big tip is always have the mobile tractor unit on your overview. The reason being, you can see if someone else is doing a site immediately, or if perhaps you've lost yours, you can see if it is yours by hitting show info. And there I am. As you can see that this guy is getting a little damage, and they've, again, switched targets to the drones. This isn't supposed to happen, but I find that 9 times out of 10 it will happen. So I simply pull this drone. And when this does happen, it's usually because I'm not close enough. So let's approach.
All 6, so.
I think I've lost 100 chips. And
Yeah,
I'm on
lost,
kill
like,
mails for like 600 or
59.
700.
And let's
Yeah,
give
I've got
ourselves a
2
little
kill
boost to get
mails. One for
closer.
a pod and one for a, what is this? It is a purifier.
It's Starman. My first kill mail was an Imperator.
Nice.
Now we can also orbit the
Let's see
mobile
here. I'm
depot.
trying to find. I think I was in the Vigil when I got blapped by Goonswarm.
There's many things to orbit
No, this
here.
was when I was. Yeah, this was when I was in Electra. Okay, no. Okay, so this is a great
And
story.
we
My
will
first time I
launch.
went into a nullsec.
A new drone there. And we'll try to find the target as to which the drones are on already. They're on this guy. And we'll simply push F to assign this idle drone to increase our DPS. At this point, we zoom out and we let the ticks resume. The drone should automatically begin engaging these targets. Sometimes they don't, and it's necessary to engage them yourself, but this is pretty much AFK routing right here. Paying attention to this and our grid, we make sure that we never die.
There's any kind of,
All right.
you know,
Being on mobile
camaraderies,
comms,
if you will.
you'll always hear drone grumbling and drama. That's great. Passes the time. However, we have something more pressing. So I'm going to mute mumble, and we'll show you these guys right here. Always kill these frigates first. These are prime things to kill. The reason being, let's press F, click on it, select, press F to assign our drones. The reason being is we don't want them getting too close because they do 2 very bad things. They web and warp disrupt you. Webbing you will slow you down, allowing you to take a lot more damage quickly. And warp disrupting you will not allow you to warp off, which will get you killed if a neutral comes in the system and warps right to you. And we can see that this guy is taking a little bit of damage, so we'll pull him. And trust me, buy extra Navy Prairie Raiders. You're going to need them. And they are kind of expensive, so always carry a few with you. And I accidentally returned him to the battlefield, so we'll call him back. I could save some capacitor and turn off my afterburner, as only a few won't do much damage to us. And you'll notice this whole time I have not been neuted.
Is it nullsec incursions? I had no idea.
I would assume that there would be.
Occasionally check back in fleet to make sure
Or
no
is
one
it
is
only
posting
high-sec?
intel in fleet. So somebody needs help with rats. And
Usually NPC systems, so it could happen in nullsec anyway.
I've seen incursions in nullsec.
another thing I
Yeah,
do is
so
also I keep
it's
my
like
alerts relatively
Going
high,
to battleships and all of a sudden another fleet
so I'll
of
always know if I'm in trouble.
stuff
For
shows
instance,
up
in this kind of
day.
case, I may be slightly too close to them.
You're gonna get really
I'm going to show you how to correct your orbit. How to correct your orbit is click out here, and as our transversal builds, you'll see us taking less damage. See that?
No, it's only
Now they're missing.
It's only 20k for a
we
shell
haven't-
print original.
Wow. 20k.
We haven't lost any transversal here really because the adjustment I've done wasn't that severe. If I had simply double-clicked at a right angle or a 45-degree angle, the loss of momentum would have caused us to take more damage. And another quick check of local. Once we think we're far enough out, which to me the sweet spot is around, say, 60 or so. We can lock back up our targets and see how we're doing. And that's my health alert setting. See that? As soon as we drop transversal, we begin taking a lot of damage. So it's very important we keep that transversal up. And I'm constantly looking at this number and checking. I'm also zooming out to make sure no friendlies warp and attempt an AWACS. Shield threshold alerts at 95%. I think that's a good number, because you'll want to catch this type of thing when routing sooner than later. And we've spawned another wave.
Everything sounds good.
Yeah, except Typhoon has its own drone.
Noob. You know.
Ping.
All right, so
Yeah.
after
So-
correcting our orbit those few times, I really haven't done anything to change the
I have it on, but I don't run.
orbit of this,
Okay,
and you
should
can
run
see
pigeon all the time, or your pigeon or whatever, because
it's
you'll
going
get
to
pinged
be
for, like,
pretty
shit
much
happening.
AFK
I got
here.
pinged when I was
Keep
sitting
an
in
eye
class like
here.
that.
Keep an eye here.
It was the help save
And occasionally
Lavishes
check fleet
Archon
or have
fleet.
fleet
I was
open
like,
in
oh,
another
fuck.
window.
And then 20
Make
minutes
sure you're
later, I looked
listening
at
to
the kill
mumble.
board. Oh, it died.
Sometimes things like this happen where
Okay,
you're
nice,
going to have
nice,
to
nice.
approach.
I can fly a Typhoon.
But
Also,
yes, you should definitely get your
Alt D
your camera
is your D
Let
scan,
me just say
and this will tell you
let's
things
just
around
back
you.
up
Why I
a
don't
second,
use this
and
is
let's just
because
say that a Typhoon fleet
sometimes there are ships
would
that can come
be
to you that
amazing.
can't be
Let's go for a
shown on
Typhoon
D-scan.
doctrine.
Sometimes they're cloaked.
Can anybody run Typhoons?
Sometimes it might be a friendly.
A little
Who knows?
expensive.
So
Yeah, they
if you
are
keep
quite
your eye on
expensive.
here,
I'd be.
you'll always be
I'm not
okay.
talking about
I have
fleet.
them.
Remember that your ship is
I'm
primary,
talking about the
drones
fleet.
secondary,
I'm talking
and the
about
mobile
just
depot really
a
can
normal
die.
Typhoon.
Yeah, there's still 200 mil apiece plus fittings.
And there's
Ah,
a reason
so.
why, because they're actually amazing ships.
Well, because they're battleships.
Let's do our orbit,
That's why.
and let's kill these immediately.
But see, here's the thing, you know, I played a long time ago, 10 years ago, when battleships and hacks that was all it was about.
And if you get one that looks like a
Nowadays,
Navy slicer,
CCVs
chances are that
and
we'll have a warp
etc.
disruptor on it, so make that the primary of the frigates
but-
you kill.
A Typhoon fleet?
No. He
Alright, so we've been watching our
can you fit a cloak through super cat?
local
No.
staying
He's so
zoomed
cool.
out, and now we see somebody
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Fucking mad.
is in the next system.
Just imagine like a dozen cloak titans.
I
Hopefully
know,
he comes
what's
in.
a cloaky carrier in their system. It's fucking horrible.
Well, a cloaky titan.
Hilarious.
You should pop in somewhere around here,
Fucking
and I can
move
show
his
you
speed,
how
so it's
to
going like
get out of a
5
situation.
MS or so, whatever.
But the intel channel is priceless,
Depending on
because
how
now
many
we're
units
prepared.
on it.
Yeah.
That
If
shit
you can
dropped
fit
7
anchor on
billion.
it.
I actually saw a Titan decloak once. Was anybody there for the Rome? It
It's
was
2 new
Cyber
people.
King took us through Thera.
And just
we
because
flew
he's
up to
not
Goon's
here doesn't
base,
mean he
and we
can't have a
landed on
spy
the
here.
gate, and we uncloaked,
He could have somebody
the,
scanning a
the
system.
big red Bose Titan on the gate. Was anybody there for that besides me?
No.
That was funny as fuck. Because anybody remember Cyber King? No.
Sorry, Cap.
That sucked. But anyway,
Shift
he
R to
was
pull our
really good at
drones.
sea. He ended up
Let's
being
pretend he
Jake
jumped
and
into the
trained us, but
system.
Anyway,
What we're
we
going
land
to do
on the
is
gate, and we go through,
immediately
like, alright, fleet align,
align
okay, and we align,
to
and
the
we uncloak
POS.
the Titan.
No need
And he
to
goes,
zoom in for this.
Shoot the Titan?
I'm just showing you.
and
Shift
we
plus
start shooting
R.
Titan.
Shift R will pull your
I was
drones.
lodging in that fleet.
Once they're
It took
pulled,
3 cycles of
we
of
will
my
warp
lodging
to the POS.
repair 1
That's 0.
burst of cruise missile front.
We will always leave the
Warp
move track
drive
unit that is
active.
disposable.
98% shields, and then
If
2
the
more
drones
Titans
didn't make
showed
it,
up, and then
and
about
we zoomed all the way
200
out, and he
Loki showed up,
landed,
and we
or
got
we
it.
saw him pop up on our D scan. Let's say we had it set to 5,
Hilarious.
But it was
and we
fucking
saw his
hilarious.
ship pop up,
The big
we'd
red
still
boat
get
was
out.
cloaked on a gate with a Leviathan.
because you
And
could
then
always
worked in
make
an
more
Avatar
ISK
and a Revenant.
and easily
Yeah.
replace a mobile depot.
And we got
Or a
fucked.
few
Like, it was
drones.
bad.
See, this is the thing I don't understand about it.
What I'm going to do is mute mumble. You could always make more ISK and more drones. The ship a little more ISK to replace. And how are you going to make your moneymaker? How are you going to replace your moneymaker? This also never leaves system. If somebody's tackled and needs help, switch out to a new ship. Never do PvP in your routing ship. Never take it out of your routing system. Ever. Never use it to transport anything. Doing all these things will be a sure way it will die. And you will have much more trouble earning ISK. Now let's pretend he's here. He's here in system. Blah, blah, blah. We're safe in our POS. He can't get us here. We'll make sure we're orbiting. Everything's copacetic, you know. So then let's say a few minutes later he leaves. We make sure he's gone. See if he pops up an I-1 wire. Maybe he just logged off. We don't know. But we can head back because we bookmarked it.
Warp drive active.
And this is the importance of bookmark, drop mobile. Do it in that order. Bookmark, drop mobile tractor. And the reason being is you could land right on the mobile tractor. Now, mobile tractors are very easy to scan down for your enemy as well, so always be careful. So it's never a good idea to stay too close to this, and I prefer to orbit something else. Although scanning down your ship, probably a little easier. And we warp right to our mobile tractor where our loot point is. And if we had drones we'd had to abandon, we simply right click. Reconnect lost drones. Now, let's dock up.
Warp drive active.
Thank you for watching. I am Professor Push 7.0. Welcome to Brave Newbies. Explode, die. You're going to do it and realize you're just renting these ships. Nobody really keeps them forever.